Welcome, my beautiful people, to What Hustle, where two wheels and a fully charged battery can really change your life. In this video, I'm going to break down why I ditched my car. But before I get into that, I need you to understand the following. There's a lot of people out there that believe that in order to reach financial freedom, they need to find a high paying job or make a lot of money, right? I can tell you that that isn't true. It's a myth. And I can tell you that I know a lot of people that make seven figures and live paycheck to paycheck. And I know a lot of people that make between $40,000 and $50,000 a month that are currently financially secure. They can do what they want, when they want, and how they want, because they made the right decisions early on. Because it's really not about how much money you make, it's about how much money you keep and what you do with what you keep, right? So keep that in mind. So let's talk about why I ditched my car. I ditched my car for several reasons. And I'm going to backtrack because I'm going to tell you a quick story right now. About 30 years ago, I read an article with Warren Buffett. And Warren Buffett was asked, what is the greatest liabilities that Americans have or spend money on? And his response for me was an eye opener. And if you don't know what a liability or an asset is, let me break it down to you very quickly in the most simplest form. A liability is something that takes money out of your pocket. An asset is something that puts money into your pocket. So Warren Buffett was asked, what is the greatest liability for most Americans? His answer was a car. And he gave the figure of $250,000. He said in a lifetime, and this is 30 years ago, in a lifetime, most Americans will spend over $250,000 with their cars, right? Because back then, and the same holds true today, most people change cars or keep their cars for less than 5 years, which means you'll be changing your car every 5 years or less, right? Every time you change your car, you get a new car payment, or if you're paying cash, you're spending that money and that car immediately depreciates. Why? Because most people also buy new. He also stated that he never purchased a car new and that he was currently at that time driving a 10-year-old car, right? He said you should keep your car for at least 10 years, but obviously you have to maintain it, etc. Because in the long run, you will save hundreds of thousands of dollars. Well, I took that to heart. And in my lifetime, I've only owned 3 cars in my entire lifetime. Now, that's me personally. I am married. I do have a wife. She owns a car and she doesn't follow my principle. But for a long time, we've only owned 1 car, right? Today, most families, if you go through, according to statistics that I found in Google, most families have a minimum of 2 cars, right? If most Americans back in the day got by with 1 car, you can get by with 1 car. And today, it's even easier because you can find alternative transportation, right? There's a lot of people. I know if you guys watch the PVD podcast, Adam in that show doesn't even own a car. He Ubers everywhere, right? Just like I believe that a car is a waste of money. Anyway, I decided, so prior to 2019, from 1994 or 5, I didn't have a car. All the way to 2019 when I bought a used Cadillac, which is the Cadillac that I currently own that I just ditched, right? Here's why I ditched it. Number one, because I want to go back and I want to show and lead by example. Because if I'm going to ask you guys to do this, I have to be willing to do it myself. So I'm going to be asking those that watch this channel to try to minimize their expenses, and a car is one of those. So if you can get by with 1 car, just have 1 car and then find an alternative means of transportation. I'm going to always push an e-bike because it's what I love. It's my passion, but it's also what I believe can be a true car replacement. And on this channel, I'm going to be showing you a lot of different types of e-bikes that can definitely replace your car, right? So let's go back to this concept, right? And I'm going to show you by the numbers, right? And I'm going to break it down to you. For example, when I started this, which was 6 months, no, 3 months ago, it was officially 3 months ago, but I actually started a little earlier than that, riding, not necessarily hustling with the bike, but riding and running more errands and using the bike more often than my car. But today, we're going to break this down this way. Today, gas is $2.89 a gallon, and I live in South Florida. My Cadillac XT5, to maintain it, the oil changes are about $75 a pop, right? And when I looked at the distance that I was driving, 10 miles or less. In fact, on average, I was only riding a 5-mile radius from my house. The only going to the store, getting gas, just really only 5 miles for everything that I was doing was really about 5 miles. But now I'm going to extend that to 10 miles because sometimes I would go to visit friends that are up exactly 9 miles from here. So let's just say between 5 and 10 miles was what I was driving. So I realized I can easily do that distance on a bike. Then I looked at the bike and asked myself, so how can I turn this bike into a true asset, not just something that's going to save me money? Because saving money is good, but it doesn't actually put money in your pocket. So I said, what can I do with this bike to actually turn it into a true asset? Well, I thought of two things. Number one, renting them, right? So I mentioned I have a passion for e-bikes, so I have a lot of e-bikes. So renting them, I found the app Friend with A, and I decided to add this as an option for my short-term rental properties. So when a guest books one of my properties, now they have the option to rent an e-bike directly from me. So that I've been doing that, and that has been going very well. But in addition to that, this channel is called What Hustle. So you have to hustle with the bike. And one of the ways that I decided to hustle with the bike is by dashing or using the apps like DoorDash, Uber Eats, Spark, Instacart, right? So I decided that I was going to do that. Why? Because I'm going to ask you guys to do that. And if I'm going to ask you to do that, I have to be willing to do it myself. So I've been doing that for the last 3 months. Here's my schedule. I wake up, I dash Monday through Friday. And I wake up every morning. I wake up early. I usually get up by 5 o'clock. But I start my dash from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. And I do DoorDash and I do Uber Eats. Here's my average earnings for the last 3 months, $1,800 a month. So that $1,800 that I've been earning a month, now this bike not only is putting money in my pocket, but it paid me back for the cost of the bike. So and if you want to do it in actual numbers, the bike paid itself off the first month, right? So everything thereafter is almost 100% profit. I've had a couple of flats, so I had to fix those flats. I see in the future I'm going to have to do some bike maintenance, but I am learning how to do that myself. So I'm doing the bike maintenance myself, but I may have to buy a tire here, but it is pennies on the dollars compared to when you compare that to a car, right? Now let's look at the savings in general, right? So $1,800 a month that you're making, the actual money coming in. But in terms of savings, what are those savings? So I did that. I backtracked 3 months to see how much I was spending in my car just by driving it, not actually dashing, but just doing regular driving. And I was spending $219 a month. So when you do the math, right, money earned, money saved means the bike paid itself off definitely that first month. And every month thereafter is putting money in your pocket. Now, I want to emphasize this because this is important that you guys understand. This channel is not going to just be about saving money. Saving money is a must, but it's not going to lead to financial freedom. This channel is going to be about getting to financial freedom, and not just financial freedom, but freedom of movement and control. Because there's a lot that's going to happen if you do what I'm recommending you do, or if you do what I did. I'm going to give you some side benefits, right? Or not, what's the word? Side effects of riding the e-bike on a regular basis. Number one, even though it's an e-bike, number one is it's making you fitter. I can tell you personally, I am fitter now than I was before I started this. In fact, I have lost 20 pounds in the last 3 months. I did my blood work before I started this, and I just did my blood work to see how my markers are. And my markers are better today than they were 3 months prior, right? What in specifically was my cholesterol. My cholesterol was a little high. Now my cholesterol is normal. My blood sugar is normal. I'm 56 years old, and I, knock on wood, and thank God, to this day, I still don't take any type of medication. Most people my age are on multiple medications. So, anyways, that's a side effect of actually doing this. Again, an e-bike should be an asset, not an expense. And that's how I did it. You don't have to do it, because I know there's going to be a lot of you say, well, that's not possible for me. I don't like a bike. I don't want to do it. That's fine. Figure out another form or do something else that'll help you do it. For example, if your argument is that you must have a second vehicle, then check yourself and get a vehicle that is very inexpensive. Like trying to think what you can get a Prius. Those vehicles, you don't have to pay for gas. Maintenance is cheap. Get it, or if you get a gas car, get a Toyota, any basic economy car. You don't have to drive luxury, bro. You're only going to the store, right? For most of you guys, you're only going to the store. Anyway, my beautiful people, this is just the beginning. Each week, I'm going to show you something new. We're going to talk about real earnings. We're going to take these bikes. We're going to review them. I'm going to tell you which bike is the best for each situation. I'm going to give you tips on maximizing if you decide to hustle. What I mean by hustle, if you decide to Dash or Uber Eats, I'm going to give you tips on how to maximize your delivery zone, how to upgrade your bikes, how to do some side hustles you can run with the bike, not having to do deliveries. And whether you ride for cash, for fun, or for freedom, keep in mind, this channel's for you. So hit that like button, subscribe, and remember, this channel is about ride, hustle, repeat. Love you guys.